Hey everyone, welcome back to Junk Jules. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, was just messing with the lighting. It's a pretty gray day here in the Midwest, but hopefully it looks pretty decent on your end. Today we're going to be taste testing the new Oreos. So I've probably mentioned on my channel before, I'm a super big fan of Oreos. They're like the ultimate childhood nostalgia snack for me. I'm like a really big fan of anything cookies and cream. I've mentioned before, I love Hershey cookies and cream bars. And they've been doing limited edition Oreos for as far back as I can remember now. As far as I know, since at least the 90s. And recently they've amped up their game. Nabisco is making a limited edition Oreo pretty much every month, sometimes more often than that. This month there's Brookie-O Oreos, Java Chip Oreos, and Chocolate Hazelnut Oreos all debuting. And I'm really excited to add these to my growing list of limited edition Oreos I've tried. I've tried about 40 something, 50. I have the list somewhere. And once I try these and give them my ranking, I will update that list. And it might be fun to do a video where we rank limited edition Oreo flavors. Let me know if you're interested in that. I'll say my current top is the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Oreo that came out in like maybe 2015 or 2016. It was amazing. It was half Reese's peanut butter, half chocolate cream with a chocolate cookie. Perfect blend of sweet and salty. So I have pretty high hopes for these. I really liked the brownie batter Oreos that came out a couple of years ago. I enjoyed the cookie dough Oreos. They had a little bit of like a fake sugar maple syrupy kind of taste. That wasn't my favorite, but they were good. And I love a classic Oreo. So if you haven't seen these, they are classic Oreos with about 2.5 times the amount of cream. They're like just over a double stuff. And they have brownie, original, and cookie cream in it. So they're supposed to taste like a Brookie, which if you've never had a Brookie, that's a brownie cookie. And it's basically a hybrid of the two. We're gonna be making one today based off of this, but first we gotta taste them. All right, let's see how they are. Let me know if you tried them. Put in the comments what your rating is out of 10. Wow. All right. So that is a fat cookie. Look at that. You see it? Yeah. I mean, that's big. That's a lot of cream. So it smells more like a cookie dough Oreo than anything else. And it's really interesting. It genuinely has 3 layers of cream. There's like the cookie dough on top, the original cream, and then the brownie batter cream. I always do this first when I'm trying a new Oreo. How do you guys eat your Oreos? Yeah. That's good. All right, let's start with the Oreo cookie. That cuts the sweetness really nicely. So I say the Brookie-O Oreos, they're like a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I really enjoy them. I don't think it's better than the sum of its parts. Like, I don't think this Oreo is better than any of the 3 creams that it contains. Like, cookie dough Oreos, very good. Brownie batter Oreos, really good. Regular Oreos, can't go wrong. I don't think it's better than any of those. I think it's like equal to the sum of its parts. So what I would say is like, if you want something different, change it up from like a regular Oreo, great option. If you like a higher cream to cookie ratio, also good. But I do really like these. I think they're super fun. They look beautiful. And I love the concept of making them based on a baked good. So now we're going to do some cookie brownie inception. And we're going to make vegan Brookie-O Oreo Brookies. Yes, so vegan Oreo Brookie-O Oreos. Wow. See, that's a tongue twister. I'm going to finish this first. Okay. So similar to what you see on the package, today we're going to be making vegan Brookie-O Brookies. So we're basically going to be doing a really rich fudgy brownie batter, putting some of these in it, then doing a classic vegan cookie dough layer, and then on top we're going to drizzle some white cream. So we're going to make the sort of like faux Oreo filling to drizzle on top. And so you'll have the brownie, the cookie dough, and the Oreo, as well as the brownie cookie dough Oreo in it. So I think this is ultimate junk. This is like super ultimate comfort, nostalgia food. And let's get started. I'm excited to bake this today. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually make the cookie dough because I'd like it to chill for about a half hour. Because when you're using dairy-free butter, often it separates and melts a lot more easily than dairy butter. And so I want to make sure we give the cookie dough some time to chill so we don't like have oil or dairy-free butter kind of like separating in the dough. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is get my vegan butter creaming with my sugar. So this is an incredibly important step. I'm going to be creaming my butter and sugar together for a while, for like 3 to 5 minutes. And this is important because it helps the fat molecules bind with the carbohydrate molecules in the sugar and get like a really airy and fluffy butter and sugar mixture. So first and foremost, I'm going to take my Earth Balance. I've mentioned this on previous streams, but this is kind of my all-purpose go-to for cookies, brownies, things of that nature that I want to be dairy-free. It's the classic. I use the soy-free just because if someone does have a soy allergy, then I can easily make a baked good soy-free. But what I'm going to start with is, you can use sticks or tub for this because we're actually going to be weighing everything. I do kind of a mixture of weighing and measuring for baked goods. I really like the precision of a scale. Like, always highly recommend a digital kitchen scale. I think every person who's getting into baking should have one. But sometimes I do also measure in cups just because it can be quick and convenient when things need to be less precise, like chocolate chips, for example. That can be less precise than flour. Totally fine to go by volume instead of by weight there. But use what you have. I'll give measurements for both. So we're sort of 180 grams of vegan butter. So I'm just like chopping it up a little so it breaks up more easily when it's getting beaten. And 1 8 tablespoon stick of vegan butter is about 110 grams. So you're gonna be using a little over 1.5 sticks, because remember, we're using 180 grams. And this will make more cookie dough than is actually needed for the Brookies. The Brookies should be like 2/3 brownie to 1/3 cookie. And this will make some extra, but that's great because I'm gonna freeze it and then I can bake vegan chocolate chip cookies whenever I want. This cookie dough freeze is amazing and you can actually bake it directly from frozen, which I absolutely love. All right, so that is good. And now, the sugar. So we're gonna use 2 kinds of sugar. We're gonna use regular white sugar and light brown sugar. You can use light or dark brown sugar. I prefer light just because it has less of a molassesy flavor. And so it's more of a multi-purpose sugar. You can use it in just about like any baked good. So white sugar, I'm gonna do 180 grams as well, same amount as the butter. It's kind of a lot. Might need my other container. Oh, no, we have enough. Cool. 180 grams. And then zero out my scale and do 150 grams of light brown sugar. I also like measuring because you use less dishes. You just pour things out of containers. Maybe use a spoon like I am to scoop it, but otherwise all you have to wash is like the spoon you use to scoop instead of every single individual measuring cup you use. And scales aren't super expensive. You can just get like a highly rated one on Amazon or from Target or Walmart. Most of them should run like 15 bucks. Really, really worth it in my opinion. All right, and then the last thing, if you've watched my streams or videos before, you know corn syrup. I love corn syrup. Gets a bad rap because it's in a lot of like soda products or things that we consider to be not super healthy, not great for us. But corn syrup is very similar to sugar. We use it in such small doses and in moderation. It's fine. This is a baked good. I'm not adding this to something healthy and claiming that it's still healthy. So this is like my all-purpose wonder ingredient, especially for vegan bakes. If you're using this, you don't need an egg replacement. This will help bind the cookies. It'll help the sugar and butter whip together really nicely. It will help everything stick. So I'm gonna use about 2 tablespoons. So 2 nice squeezes, perfect. And then a little bit of vanilla paste before we beat. So I love vanilla paste. This one's from Trader Joe's, if you can see it. And the difference between vanilla paste and vanilla extract is this is a lot thicker. It has a little bit of like xanthan gum and some other similar ingredients that help bind it. And it is actual suspended vanilla bean particles in it. So it packs more of a punch. It's a lot more pungent than even vanilla extract. So therefore it ends up being a little more expensive, but a little goes a long way. So I only use about a half a teaspoon when I would probably normally use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract in here. All right, rebeat. And while that's going, I'm gonna get the dry ingredients together. So let me grab a bowl. So I'm generally a pretty big fan of sifting, and there's a number of ways you can do that. Sifting helps combine all of the dry ingredients together and remove any lumps from flour or other similar dry ingredients. So one way you can do it is you can actually have a sifter or a strainer. So something fine mesh like this, and kind of shake everything through. You can get a flour sifter. I don't think you need a specific tool for it. You can just get one of those handheld ones. You don't need the ones that you like crank. Or my favorite thing to do when my sifter is dirty is just use a whisk. So we're gonna be doing that method today. So we want 215 grams of all-purpose flour. So we're gonna start with. So our scale is zeroed out. Hello, welcome to the stream. And again, I then don't need a dirty measuring cup. I'm just taking this little scooper cup, putting 215 grams flour in here, almost there. All right, sweet. Oreos are the best. I'm so excited for this. And now we need baking soda and baking powder. So I like to use both. Baking powder just is baking soda with, I always have to remind myself, with cornstarch. But using both kind of gets the right ratio of the amount of baking soda you need. So about a half a teaspoon of each. And then my other secret ingredient for really good vegan cookies that helps you not need an egg replacement is cornstarch. So cornstarch helps make foods tender. And what can happen with vegan cookies, concerns are separation if they don't contain eggs, and then also kind of getting gritty and falling apart and getting too crunchy. And just adding a tablespoon of cornstarch really helps keep everything really tender, helps it bind together. But don't add too much, because if you add too much cornstarch, 2 things can happen. One is it can taste kind of like cornstarch, which has a little bit of like a starchy, weird, not pleasant taste if you use too much of it. And the other thing that can happen is your cookies can just like crumble really easily. And not in like a crispy way, but just like fall apart. So I only use a tablespoon. And then about a teaspoon of salt. I use a little extra salt because I like things to be a little saltier. I like salty sweet combined. And then I'm gonna grab a whisk. All right, so as I mentioned, instead of sifting, I'm just gonna use a whisk to combine, get all the clumps of flour out. And our butter and sugar mixture is almost done beating. You'll see it's getting pretty fluffy. I'm gonna let it go for like 30 more seconds on higher speed. Sorry, it's gonna be loud for a moment. All right, that's pretty good. Let's see. Scrape the sides down, give it one more quick mix. I got one of these spatula attachments for my KitchenAid that has like a silicone edge, and it definitely helps scrape down the sides, but doesn't do it completely for you. And if you were with me last time, my KitchenAid mixer was kind of wobbling. I figured out that there's a screw underneath here, underneath the head of the KitchenAid mixer, that you can turn, and it will make the spatula attachment raise or lower. And mine was too high up, so it was hitting the edges and wobbling. Now it's perfect. So I fixed it, which is exciting because I do need a new mixer because I need a bigger one. I do a lot of high volume batches of cookies for Junk Jules. So I really need to get a bigger one for bigger orders. But it also feels less urgent now because my mixer is still working just fine over 8 years later. I got this back in 2012. It's like a birthday or anniversary gift. I can't even remember at this point. But I want to get one of the 7-quart No, 6-quart. This is 4.5. I want to get a 6-quart one. That's the lift up version. I really love those. Okay, so second to last step. This is like the easiest vegan cookie recipe ever. Add the flour. And I'm just gonna like pulse this gently because the flour is gonna start to like shoot up a little bit. If I don't. There we go. So just get the flour a little bit combined by pulsing it. Turn it on low, just barely until combining. You don't want to over beat the flour. It'll start to get like weird and glutinous. And then the last thing that we're gonna do is just add chocolate chips. All right, that's like, see how that's like just coming together, just barely combined. A little bit crumbly there. Now we're gonna add the chocolate chips. So in this case, I'm gonna use dark chocolate because we're gonna have a lot of sweetness in the brownies. We're gonna have a lot of sweetness from the Oreo, so I want a little bit of darker chocolate. So these are my favorite vegan chocolate chips. They're a little bit expensive, but Target usually has them for the cheapest for like $4 something. Other grocery stores, they can go as high as $7. Enjoy life. They are dairy-free, soy-free, basically any allergen-free, nut-free. So unless you're allergic to chocolate, you shouldn't have a problem with these. And I just eye it. I'm gonna use like 2 handfuls, kind of small hands. And basically just want there to be a couple chocolate chips in every bite. So a quick mix there. All right, I'm gonna show you the dough. It looks good to go. Like I mentioned, I'm making the cookie dough for the Brookies first because I want the cookie dough to sit in the fridge for a little bit and chill so the vegan butter can firm up. All the ingredients can kind of marinate together. I think it just makes for a better texture. So you see, it's like a semi-drier cookie dough. They're not gonna be dry cookies, I promise you. All right, wash my hands. And I'm actually just gonna pop this on a plate. The more surface area, the more likely it is to chill quicker. So flatten it out into like a big cookie cake. And then we don't need to worry about shaping these because we're just gonna be putting them on top of the brownie as it cooks. But if you were gonna make these into cookies instead of a top layer for a brookie, what I would recommend is making them into about 1.5 tablespoon size to 2 tablespoon size balls, depending on how big you like your cookies. So this is like a small to medium cookie. And then putting them on parchment paper on a platter and refrigerating or freezing them like this. I like to freeze them personally for about 1.5 to 2 hours, or you put them in the fridge up to overnight and then just bake straight from there. You can even bake from frozen. It'll result in like a taller, gooier cookie in the center, which I really enjoy. And this is kind of my base vegan chocolate chip cookie dough. I use these for junk cookies. You can mix just about anything into them and it's so delicious. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge. And that's gonna chill in the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes. Ideally 30 plus would be great, but it's totally fine if you want to just leave them in there when you're preparing the brownies. So we're gonna get some stuff out of the way before we start with the brownies, which I'm super excited about. I love these. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is preheat the oven to 375. I've mentioned this before, highly recommend an oven thermometer to check the temperature of your oven. Mine runs 10 degrees cooled, so I'm gonna actually preheat mine to 385. So I think a lot about Rachel Ray and how I used to watch 30-minute meals and her cooking shows growing up. Really curious if you all have a favorite celebrity chef or food show personality you love. I also really like Alton Brown. I like Andrew Zimmern. Who doesn't love Anthony Bourdain? And then there's like a few people who kind of came out of the woodwork, like Padma Lakshmi just did her kind of Eat the Nation I believe it's called Eat the Nation. She did Eat the Nation on Hulu, which is really interesting exploration of like different food cultures. There's a lot of really incredible food hosts out there. And you know, that was kind of an inspiration for me growing up. So here I am today producing my own show. One day it'll be just as big, right? Maybe Hulu or Netflix will pick it up. All right, so the first thing I do every time I'm making brownies is create this parchment paper lined pan formation. So really, really like to grease the bottom of my pan first, then put a layer of parchment paper down flat at the bottom, and then do this one perpendicular. So this really helps you just lift the brownies out when they're done. And then greasing the bottom underneath the parchment paper and on top ensures nothing sticks. I always had a problem with brownies sticking until I did this, and now it's perfect. You'll also notice that I use a dark nonstick pan. I find that these create a more consistent bake and a chewier edge. If you use glass, it's probably going to take a little bit longer to bake, and the edges might be a little more browned than the center. And then first thing we're going to do is melt chocolate. So this brownie is so fudgy. So this brownie is super fudgy because it contains melted chocolate and cocoa powder. So I highly recommend both for a good depth of flavor. Someone's asking in chat, am I a PETA member? I'm not. I'm not vegan. I was vegan for a few years. I do eat animal products now, but I am lactose intolerant, so I cook vegan a lot because if I'm not eating animal products, like if there's no meat in a dish, it's pretty easy to make it dairy-free. And I've also found great ways to bake that's egg-free. So not only is it egg allergy friendly, but vegan friendly if I'm making something dairy-free and egg-free. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is measure. So what I'll be doing here is you'll see I have two kinds of these Enjoy Life chocolate chips. So I have dark morsels and I have semi-sweet chips. So I'm gonna be using the dark morsels as the base for my brownie, and then I'll mix some semi-sweet chocolate chips into it. So I'm gonna take about 2 ounces of these dark morsels. I'm not using metric, I'm using US standard. And then I'm scrolling down my recipe because I'm pretty sure it's 12 tablespoons, but I don't want to get it wrong. Some of these like brownies I've made so many times, and they're such like a classic one of my recipes that I haven't memorized, but I do occasionally forget things, and I'd always rather double check. All right, so it is 12 tablespoons. So you'll see on here on Earth Balance, they have like the tablespoon marks. So a stick is 8 tablespoons. So we'll take 1.5 sticks, 3/4 of a cup. We have about half a stick left from the cookies, so this is perfect. It's about 1/4 to 1/2 tablespoon shy. But to be honest, with these brownies, they're so fudgy, and with chocolate adding extra fat in them, it's okay if you're like 1/2 tablespoon short. All right, so I'm gonna microwave those for about 30 seconds. Give it a good mix. Probably microwave for another 15 to 20 seconds. You want to keep checking it in between. You do not want to burn your chocolate. I'd rather there be a couple little chunks of chocolate in there than you burning anything in the microwave. All right, a few more seconds and we'll give it a good stir. Yes, I'm short. I have to stand on my tiptoes to look in the microwave. All right, see it's starting to melt nicely. Give that a good stir. The chocolate's starting to combine with the butter. I'm gonna put this back in for probably 10 more seconds, and then we should be good. Yeah, this is a great kitchen, but it's tough because you'll see how tall these cabinets are. And I really can't reach the top. So I often have to take a dining chair or a step stool to get in the top there. All right. The chocolate is mostly melted. I'm just going to keep stirring it until the little bits of chocolate chips fully incorporate with the melted Earth Balance dairy-free butter. And then I'm going to combine this with the sugar. So you're going to be shocked. We use a lot of sugar in this recipe, but it works. I only use white sugar in my brownies Some people use a mixture of dark brown or light brown sugar and white sugar. I find that these don't need it. They can just have white sugar in them because you're using melted chocolate and you're getting that extra gooiness and moistness from melted chocolate. Whereas like some people use dark brown or light brown sugar in brownies to get that moistness. This doesn't need it. All right, we're gonna bring the big one out. All right, 400 grams of sugar. It's about 2 cups. Here we go. Told you it's a lot. Halfway. Oop. All right, 400. All right, we're just gonna whisk this together until it's super well combined. A little bit glossy, a little bit lighter brown color. I especially love these brownies because you can make them in one bowl. That is one of the best parts about them. All right, so usually I would add eggs here if I'm just doing my classic dairy-free brownie recipe. But instead, we're gonna use the magical corn syrup. So about 2 tablespoons. Whip that all together. Should start to get a little glossier now with that addition. And now a little bit of vanilla. I'm gonna use vanilla paste again. Just about half a teaspoon. All right. Get everything out of that whisk. Looks good. All right. Next is my secret ingredient, ground coffee. So a tiny bit of ground coffee, like a teaspoon, is gonna add just a little bit of like earthy richness that amps up the chocolate flavor really nicely. I promise you if you use a teaspoon or less, especially if it's fine or ground, it is not gonna taste like coffee. If you want it to taste like coffee, add like a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. Mocha brownies are amazing. I really like peppermint mocha brownies. We're putting espresso chips in. That would be good for when the Java chip Oreos come out. All right. Next, we're gonna add the dry ingredients. So really simple, flour and cocoa. So we're gonna use weight, once again for this one. So we're gonna do 85 grams of special dark cocoa. You can use regular if that's all you have, but I love this Red Label Hershey Special Dark Cocoa. Just gives everything a richness and a depth of flavor that regular cocoa doesn't. You can find this at most grocery stores. And then 125 grams all-purpose flour. So because I'm doing this all in one bowl, I am gonna use my mesh sieve as a sifter. Just throw that in there, zero it out. 85 grams. A lot of cocoa. This is just to get out any lumps. Perfect. And then 125 grams of all-purpose flour. Perfect. And then look at that, I can just lift it up and sift. Easy. And then it also helps mix it. Perfect. Making a mess, as usual. I'm a super messy baker. Last thing I'm gonna add is just about a teaspoon of salt before I mix the ingredients together. I'm gonna get a bigger spatula. Right. And then just slowly combine. When making the vegan brownies, because they don't have eggs, they have a little bit less liquid and a little bit less viscosity. So what I like to do is mix all the dry ingredients first. And if I'm finding that they're a little bit separated or it looks a little too dry, I'll add a little bit of non-dairy milk. My personal favorite is Ripple. I love their unsweetened vanilla or just their plain unsweetened for baking. It has a little bit higher fat content than like a lot of almond milks or soy milks. About the same as probably coconut or oat milk, but it's like smoother and richer and creamier. So it doesn't necessarily add any sort of different flavor. Like if you had coconut, it might actually taste a little bit like coconut versus the Ripple milk is made from pea protein. Doesn't really taste like much at all. All right. So that's fairly well combined. You do want it to be a pretty thick brownie batter. Like it's going to be hard to spread. But this is a little too thick, so I'm going to add a little bit of the Ripple. This is the one I like, the unsweetened vanilla. I'm just going to start with like a tablespoon, a splash. And the other thing about Ripple too is, what is it, lecithin? No, it has guar gum. So the guar gum also acts as a stabilizer and something to help bind the brownie batter together without using eggs. Ooh, this looks so good. I'm so excited. I haven't made a Brookie in so long. It's been a while. I do also want to do a gluten-free version, but the Oreos are not gluten-free, so that would kind of not work out for this particular bake. Be beside the point. All right, one more splash, and we should be good to go. And then this is a great base, just like the chocolate chip cookie dough, for just about anything. Like I mentioned, you could put more coffee in it and make it like mocha brownie. You could put nuts in it. You could add all different types of chocolate chips, candies, peanut butter cups, coconut, put caramel on top. Like this is such a great brownie recipe. And if you were going to make it with dairy butter, same amount, 12 tablespoons, 3/4 of a cup. Oh, just froze for a second. I'll just repeat what I said just in case anyone didn't hear it. If you were going to make this with dairy butter, same amount as the dairy-free butter, 3/4 of a cup or 12 tablespoons. And you would add 3 large eggs. All right, so you see it's a little glossier, a little bit wetter. It's still very, very thick, like a cookie dough thick. I'm gonna add one more splash. We still want it to be like a soft cookie dough. Actually, now this is making me think I want to make the other type of brookie that people are familiar with, which is cookies that taste like and feel like brownies. This would probably be a great recipe for it. It already looks like if you just didn't add any more milk, it would be a great cookie dough. Okay, now the fun part, mix-ins. So, like I mentioned, I'm going to put semi-sweet chocolate chips into it. Just like about half a cup. And then the Brookie-Os. So you could put this into a food processor if you wanted like finer little chunks. You can put this into a bag and hit it with a rolling pin or a pot, or you can just do what I'm going to do and break with your hands. So this also works great, you know, as long as you have clean hands. It's actually a little bit easier than some of the other methods because if things are starting to stick, you can kind of separate them. So if you want to get a little bit of cream pieces by themselves, little cookie pieces by themselves, or have really uniform pieces, you can break them exactly how you'd like. But this is my third one. I'm probably going to end up using 6 Oreos. So these are pretty big. So if I were using like regular size Oreos, I might use 8 to 10. Let's see. Yeah, that was 7. That's good. All right. I like to use my hands, so I'm going to go in there. Like I said, I'm a very messy baker. It means I have to clean my kitchen a lot more often, but that's fine. I also have a dog, and I really have to be careful when he's home because obviously if I'm making something chocolate or with coffee, that's really good for dogs. So make sure I don't drop too much. He is not in the kitchen right now because he would be whining because I'm not feeding him this. One day I'll bring him onto his stream though. His name is Flapjack. As you can tell, I love sweets. Named my dog after pancakes. And he's a 3-year-old cattle dog mix. He is so freaking cute. Super high energy, super fun, super loving. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more because why not? That's 9 Oreos. So yeah, I'll bring Flapjack on the stream or in a video sometime. He is really funny. We got him a little over 2 years ago when he was almost a year old. And his best friends are a Corgi and a Husky mix. And he play dates a lot. He loves other dogs. I think he wants a sibling. We'll get him on Sunday, not now. I know a lot of people are getting quarantine puppies, and I love it. I think if you're not usually home and have time to like train a puppy and you really want one, if you're working from home now, this is a good time to do it. But it's a lot of work. It's still a lot of work. So I commend you if you're doing that. All right, now we have our prepared pan. We're gonna throw this brownie batter in. And like I said, it's really thick. It's like almost like a wet potato. So it's gonna take some like maneuvering to get this nicely into the pan. So I'm just gonna throw it around, make sure it's fairly evenly distributed first. See, make sure you guys can see this. And just use my hands to start. And then once it's getting to a point where it's like pretty evenly distributed, but not necessarily pretty or flat, I then will get an offset spatula. Use a small or a big one. I'm gonna use my small one right now. And basically just scrape it down and push it down so it's semi-flat. And if you want to make your brownies look perfect, it's important to like take your time doing this step. But because we're making Brookies and we're gonna be swirling cookie dough on top, it's totally fine if the top is not even. Like absolutely fine. So I'm just gonna pat it down. And then the oven is currently set at 375 or 385 on my oven because it runs cool. And what's great about this particular recipe is my vegan cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and these brownies bake at the same temperature. So I don't have to worry about changing temperatures or changing cooking times. They both usually cook at 375 anyway, separately. So we're just gonna factor time in. So brownies typically take close to a half hour, like 25 to 30 minutes. And the cookies only take about 12. So we're gonna put these in for about 10 to 12 minutes. Check them and then put the cookie dough on top and bake that. All right, so our Brookie-O super fudgy chocolate brownies are about to go in. They're ready to go. These are dense. All right, and into the oven, and I'm gonna set a timer for 12 minutes. I am notoriously forgetful, so timers are good. I'm just gonna put a few things away and then I have another taste test I wanna do. Another fun limited edition junk food dessert that just came out. Which I'm so excited to share with you all. Hi. Anyone else have off work today? I feel so fortunate to have off my full-time job to be able to do this with you all. Get some days off here and there. So while I do own a baking business that I run from home, Junk Tools, I do these live streams, YouTube videos. I have a blog where I write recipes. Currently in the process of writing a cookbook. And I fulfill custom cookie, cake, pie, brownie, all of the above pastry orders. I also do work a full-time job at a nonprofit. So I'm definitely really busy. I'm good. How are you? I'm definitely really busy, but this has literally always been my biggest passion is baking. Cooking as well, but specifically baking. And so I started Junk Jules in 2019. And it's served as an outlet for my creativity as well as an opportunity for me to really get my feet wet on the baking business since I left restaurant kitchens in 2013. I haven't worked in one for a while. I've served and bartended and hosted since then, but haven't worked in a kitchen since 2013 and I really, really miss it. So the ultimate goal is to one day open a brick and mortar, open my own storefront for Junk Jules, or to be doing pastry for a restaurant or some other food related business. And I'm self-trained. I didn't go to culinary school, but worked in restaurant kitchens and been baking my whole life. And I really, really grateful to be able to do Junk Jules in my free time. You know, it's interesting, through quarantine, I actually have been incredibly busy. I've been focusing a lot on Junk Jules as well as I'm an Olympic weightlifter. And I train about 2 hours a day, 3 to 5 times a week. And so that takes a lot of my time. I also compete and I travel for competitions when we can travel. And so quarantine's been really busy with me trying to get some really good training in, work on Junk Jules, and then continue working my full-time job and with my needy dog. So it's I can't believe it's been almost a year. It's been like a really, really full year. And I feel fortunate to be able to continue working and to have my health right now. I hope you all are doing well too. It's been a tough time, so I'm trying to bring you some joy with junk food. So while the brownies are baking, I just picked up these in the Valentine section of Target. So these are raspberry cream Kit Kats. I'm so excited to try these. I love Kit Kat. It's probably behind the Hershey Cookies and Cream Bar, my favorite, like second favorite candy bar. And I've actually really liked most of the limited edition flavors. I love the Witch's Brew on Halloween. That was a marshmallow one. It was bright green. Last spring, I think they had a lemon and cream one that was delicious. Didn't love the pumpkin pie one. I thought it tasted like a Yankee Candle. But I love the mocha one that came out, the dark chocolate mint. Like, I'm a really big fan of all the Kit Kat varieties. And I'm going to try the raspberry and cream. You can smell it through here. It smells a little bit artificial, which, shocking, it's artificial. But I like raspberry. Oh God. Okay, if you're an 80s or 90s kid like me, you probably remember the cough syrup Dimetap. It was this like viscous red cough syrup that had a very, very strong, like, I mean, it smells exactly like this, like creamy yet sour cherry flavor. And I like cherry and I don't mind cough syrup usually, but Dimetap is like, it's one of those smells and flavors that like stays with you forever. Like I'm getting this weird thing in the back of my throat where I'm just like, I don't want that. How old am I? I'm 29. I will be 30 this year, which is wild. Yeah, so I've been baking for over 20 years, which is pretty cool, but I cannot believe that I can say I'm a 90s baby and I'm going to be 30. Oh my gosh. How old are you all? I'm always curious to know what my viewers are. And if you grew up with the same kind of junk food I did, if you're not familiar with it, I should introduce you to some new things that are from my childhood, or if there's things I'm not familiar with from your childhood. 21. Okay, so you're not that much younger. You're probably familiar with a lot of the things from the early 2000s that I had. Okay, let's try this. Thank God it doesn't taste like Dimetap. This is weird. It tastes exactly like something I've had before, but I don't know what. Okay, so you know the wafer cookies that come in the clear package that are in like convenience stores or vending machines? They're like, they come in a square, like a brick of them. This tastes exactly like the strawberry ones, the pink ones, which, interesting because this is raspberry. It kind of tastes like raspberry, kind of tastes like strawberry. It kind of has just that like red fruit flavor that like a lot of Starburst or Sour Patch candies have. But honestly, I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm having another one. So it's this like cream coating. So it's like fake white chocolate. Basically just like sugar and hydrogenated oil. It smells like Diamond Tap. Bright friggin' pink. It's beautiful. And then the inside is just the usual Kit Kat wafer with like the same raspberry cream in the center. Honestly, I like it. I much prefer chocolate. I prefer like darker flavors like coffee, dark chocolate, like even like cherry chocolate. So this is not my favorite. I give it like a 6 out of 10. Like, I will gladly eat these. I'm not going to go out and like stockpile them because I'm so sad that they're limited edition. I do that, believe me. Especially with Trader Joe's when they have something that comes out and you know it's only going to be for like a month or two. I'll go and buy like 6 bags of something. Like Jingle Jangle. Oh my gosh, favorite night Jingle Jangle. This stuff is so good. So this is dark and milk chocolate covered pretzels, peanut butter cups, their brand of Oreos, chocolate gems, kind of like M&Ms, and chocolate covered caramel corn. They only have this for like a few weeks around Christmas. And I usually buy like 8 to 10 tins. They're so good. Oh, where do you live? You said you want to try all these flavors when you go to America. I'm always so interested in junk food in other countries too. And I've definitely gone to specialty grocery stores specifically to buy different types of imported candy that you can't get in the US usually. Like I'm super interested in Japanese Kit Kats. I love trying all the Pocky flavors. Apparently it is Pocky, not Pocky. I just learned that. And really, really interested in a lot of like the South American candies too. And the taste of their chocolate blows me away. You're in India. Cool. Do you guys have Kit Kats? Do you have like different flavors of Kit Kat in India? Or do you just have like the traditional chocolate ones? I'm always interested in learning about that kind of stuff. All right, we only have 3 minutes left on the brownies. I'm going to check them out and see how they're doing. And we're going to put the cookie dough on top. Oh my god, it smells so good. Alright, we'll leave them in for the 3 minutes left on the timer, and we're gonna get the cookie dough out and start flattening it. We're gonna put it on top of kind of a marble pattern. And like I said, the brownies will need to cook for a total of 25 to 30 minutes. That's why we're taking them out about halfway through to put the cookie dough on. Oh, in India, you just have the classic Kit Kats most of the time. You don't have a lot of varieties. I'm so sorry. I highly recommend if you could find them, try them. I love Kit Kats. Right now they have like a mocha and dark chocolate one that is super good. It's like real coffee flavor. It tastes like a mocha latte. Super good. We also get a lot of really interesting M&M flavors in the US. So I just picked up a couple of different flavors that I'll try on my next stream. But usually in the like Valentine's and spring season, they make a bunch of like weird white chocolate varieties. And I don't love white chocolate, especially fake white chocolate. But the M&M flavors, usually like lemon meringue pie and carrot cake and all these like really kind of oddball ones, tend to be really good. So I picked up some of those. And we also have a couple different kinds of Hershey Kisses for the holidays. Yeah, when I was at Target, it was like overwhelming how much Valentine's candy was out. Yeah, I need to do some more taste tests because I love picking up, like this is just a hobby of mine, is picking up all these limited edition junk foods and trying them out. And I usually love them. Like it's a really fun experience for me because worst case, it's like these Kit Kats. Like I like them. I'll finish the bag eventually. Not going to run out and buy a bunch. Honestly, same with the Brookie-O Oreos. Like I said, 7.5 out of 10. I like them. I'm not going to go out of my way to get them. As far as like the current Oreo flavors that we have in America, we don't have the Reese's anymore. That's my favorite. I do really like the peanut butter pie. It's half peanut butter, half chocolate cream with a graham cookie. Super good. A little bit saltier. You can tell I like the like saltier, nuttier kind of flavors. I also really like just dark chocolate Oreos. Super good. And The mint ones aren't bad, but I really prefer when they have the peppermint ones with the little peppermint crystals that come out in the winter. Love those. All right, so the cookie dough's been chilling. It's like nicely set. And what we're gonna do once the timer goes off is take the brownies out and really just like make a bunch of really flat cookies, like little pancakes. Like this. And then we'll marble them all over the top of the brownie. Bake that until it's done. And then, like I mentioned previously, I'm going to create a topping that mimics the Oreo cream with some vegan white chocolate. So it will look like the top's an Oreo. So it's like cookie, brownie, Oreo inception over here. And then at the end, we'll crumble some more Brookie-O Oreos on top, just so people know what's inside. I am so excited to try these. All right. It's all done. I'm going to get that out of the oven. Oh yeah, I'm so excited for this. Okay. So I actually have quartz countertops, so it's totally fine to put something hot directly on it, but I want to put the towel under it just so I don't have this slide all over the place because it is hot. So if it slides onto me, that would not feel good. Okay, so like I mentioned, flattening out the cookie dough, and I'm just like placing it in random spots. So it's going to kind of like bleed all over and marble, look like a beautiful map. And also, as I mentioned before too, we're going to have more cookie dough than we need to top this with. I'm just going to roll the extra dough into balls and freeze it, and then I can bake them directly from the freezer whenever I want a chocolate chip cookie. So I'll probably have enough for like half a dozen or so left. Also, good to mention, if you are in the US, I do ship cookies and brownies via FedEx, ground shipping. It takes about 2 to 3 days to get there. Not super expensive. I just sent an order out this morning actually to New York. And I have a lot of repeat customers. So I've figured out how to ship well to preserve everything, to make sure nothing breaks. Am I going to eat all this by myself? No, I'm not going to eat all this by myself. I will definitely try it. Have a couple, maybe freeze a couple. I'll give a bunch to my husband. He loves brownies. He'll be very happy to have this. He also loves Oreos. And then, you know, we're in quarantine during a pandemic, so not like I see people often, but I am friends with my chiropractor, and I see her once a week, and so I'll bring her some and give some to my neighbors. So if I see my neighbors out, I will bring a box over. That is, I will say, what a mess of a year it's been for a lot of reasons. One silver lining that's nice to think about is I've gotten a lot closer with my neighbors. I have gotten to know the people who live down the street from me. We've all met like walking dogs, and we can have kind of like socially distanced conversations, let our dogs play in the yard. It's really nice to have that like feeling of a community. Because I'm newer to the area. I just moved here a little over 2 years ago. And so last year getting to know everyone in my neighborhood has been really nice, and feels like we're a little less alone. We have people to take care of and look out for one another. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of really, really great people, really nice, caring, also intelligent people I can have really interesting conversations with. So I'll probably give some of these to my neighbors. Number of kids in the neighborhood too that I think would really, really like these. All right, so I'm just filling in some random spots to make sure that there's at least a little bit of cookie dough in every bite. But I do like this imperfect look where it kind of looks like a map and there's all different areas, land masses, cookie dough masses. All right. And then this will bake for about another 12 minutes. Like I mentioned, the cookies take about 12 minutes, but because they are on top of brownie batter and not like directly on a pan, they might take a few minutes longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the timer for 8 minutes, check it then, assume it's gonna need anywhere from 4 to 8 more minutes beyond that. All right, so you see that. And while that's baking, we're gonna make the topping. So let me get this in. All right, so timer is set for 8 minutes. I'm gonna pop this back in the fridge. Later, I'll roll it into balls and put it in the freezer. All right, let me grab my dairy-free white chocolate chips and I'll explain what's in those in a moment. All right, so these can be really hard to find. Dairy-free / vegan white chocolate chips are challenging because typically white chocolate is cocoa butter, milk fat, and sugar. And in some cases, it's not even real white chocolate, right? Like this like cream that's on the Kit Kat, it's just hydrogenated oil and milk fat. So it simulates kind of white chocolate. But these, you'll see, they're like a little darker than normal white chocolate. They're kind of off-white. And they are made with rice flour, cocoa butter, and sugar. What else is in this one? Oh, and there's some tapioca starch in here. So it kind of mimics the feeling of like creamy white chocolate, but like it's a little gritty. So what I found is that these are best used in like some sort of glaze if you're wanting to make like a white chocolate flavored something, but not on their own. Like melted on their own, they're a little bit boring and kind of lack flavor. And they're not bad if they're like a mix-in and other things. So let's say you wanted to make a cookies and cream brownie vegan. You could throw those in there with some Oreos, it'd be great. But by themselves, they're like kind of boring and they should not be the star of the show, let me put it that way. And they're also really expensive. I think this brand was like $5 something, maybe $6. Sometimes they're as much as like $8 or $10 for a 12-ounce bag, which is wild. So I'm gonna be using this to make a sort of simulated Oreo cream that we drizzle over the brownies when they're done. So what I'm going to do is start. Let's take about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces. Measure it on my scale. Okay, that's like 1 3/4 ounces. And then I'm going to put about a tablespoon of dairy-free butter in here. And what this is going to do is like almost make a chocolate ganache. So chocolate ganache is really just chocolate and butter. And so that's what we're going to make here. It's basically a chocolate ganache. And then we'll add a little bit of powdered sugar to help thicken it. And we'll see where the texture's at then. All right, into the microwave. Start at 15 seconds. The other thing with vegan white chocolate is it melts differently, so you want to check it really often. Yeah. Longer. That like barely melted anything. And the way to get it to really taste like an Oreo filling is powdered sugar. And then you can also use something like marshmallow fluff or melted marshmallows. Because I'm using white chocolate in this for the first time, I'm going to see how it comes out with the powdered sugar and butter first, and then decide if I want to put marshmallows or fluff in it. I have like some people's dream home. I have an entire cabinet that's just dedicated to baking ingredients and junk food. The whole bottom shelf is basically like Kit Kats, Oreos, graham crackers, M&Ms. I just like literally always have a stock of all of the different junk foods I love and love to bake with. And I honestly sometimes forget I have things, so I'll buy like doubles, triples, and then end up having like this wild stockpile of like 17 bags of chocolate chips. All right, so that is like really, really thin right now, but it's nicely melted and incorporated without being burned. And now I'm gonna take some powdered sugar and thicken this up just a little bit. We don't want it too thick. We want it to be able to like drizzle over the brownies, but also set somewhat firm, similar to the texture of melted chocolate. So I just put about 2 tablespoons in here and I'm gonna mix it really well. We'll see where we're at. And I'll probably end up putting vanilla paste in here as well, because Oreos, while the cream is not necessarily vanilla flavored, it does have that sort of vanilla-y quality to it. I think we just like think of it as a vanilla and chocolate cookie. All the lumps out. Okay, that's a lot better. I'm gonna put a little more brown sugar though. It's still a little bit too thin. Two more minutes till the timer goes off. We can check our Brookies. All right. Now we're gonna taste it. Put some on my finger. Yeah, it definitely needs vanilla. And yes, I use my hands a lot, but I also wash them a lot. The cool thing about this too is you could add whatever flavor you wanted. You could do like almond extract or coconut extract, or make this like a dark chocolate topping instead. We're almost out of this vanilla paste. But like I said, I stockpile things, so I have like 3 more bottles in the pantry. All right, just about a 1/4 teaspoon of that. All right. That's perfect. It'll drizzle nicely, but it's thick enough that it will also set. Let's see how the brownie cookie combo is doing. Close this up. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for these. So while they're nowhere near done, let's see how good they look. I just turn the pan around because sometimes ovens are hotter in the back, they usually are, and so it's good to get a more even bake that way. So I'm gonna reset my timer for 5 minutes, which will put us at 13 minutes total for the cookies. We'll check them again. They'll probably need a couple minutes after that, and then we'll let them cool and put the cream on top. So in the meantime, I'll tell you what's coming up for Junk Jules, which I'm very excited about. So like I said, I'm working on a cookbook. I'm working on all these classics. So there's going to be an ebook of all of my recipes in one place, with regular as well as like vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, nut-free varieties. So no matter what your allergy is, if you want to participate in the fun and bake something exciting and interesting and filled with junk, you can make it. Also going to be doing more reviews. So like I mentioned, I get all the limited edition cookies, candies, you know, all of these like chocolate bars. I'll be buying more of those over Valentine's and spring and doing a taste test. Like I mentioned, these Brookie-O Oreos are one of 3 limited edition Oreos that just came out. So there's Java Chip, there's the Brookie-O, and then there's also the chocolate hazelnut. I almost called it Nutella, but it's not Nutella branded. The chocolate hazelnut Oreos. And what I'm planning to do is adding the Java Chip Oreos to probably some sort of chocolate mocha espresso pie. Really interested to hear what you guys think about that idea. And then also using the chocolate hazelnut Oreos to make a chocolate hazelnut babka. So if you've never had babka, it's amazing. It originates from Eastern Europe, but I come from a long line of East Coast Jews in the United States, and babka is synonymous with like New York Judaism. It's at all the holidays where you can eat leavened bread. It's amazing. It's basically a butter-enriched dough, similar to a brioche, that you braid with either chocolate or cinnamon and sugar. It's so good, and hazelnut would be the perfect addition. So I'm planning on making my own chocolate hazelnut filling and then adding crumbled Oreos to that and making a babka out of it. So super excited for that. Be on the lookout for that bake. Some of these live streams I have to plan further in advance because babka, for example, is a dough that has to rise. And so I'm gonna have to plan in advance when I can like let the dough sit out for a couple hours and then come back and show you the process. So you're not just coming on a live stream and then I go, okay, and I'll see you in 2 hours. Or talk to you for 2 hours, which if this gets really popular, then great. I'll definitely talk to you guys for 2 hours. I'll do more basic bakes in the middle. I'll do a whole day of baking on live stream. I can do a series of reviews. Like I can get all the limited edition Oreos that I've had in the last couple months, review those. Really interested to hear what all of you want to see. So Twitch, tell me what you want to watch, and happy to make content that is of interest. Because I know baking can sometimes be slow, right? Like we're kind of just waiting around and talking, but I have so many things I love to taste, I love to make, I love to experiment with, that I would love to do it on stream with you all. I'm gonna put a few more things away before we get the brownies out and top them. I thought I'd show you guys a sneak peek of what is coming for taste test next time I stream, which will probably be next week. So these are cheesecake M&Ms, which I'm very skeptical of. Wondering if you guys like cheesecake, if you guys like white chocolate M&Ms. It's going to be interesting because not only is this not really real white chocolate, well, I guess it's real white chocolate, it's just kind of like low quality white chocolate, but it's not like it's going to contain cheese. Like, yeah, it's artificial flavors and natural flavors. So this will be interesting. I wonder if they're going to try to like mimic the crust at all. Like, will this just taste like cheesecake filling, or will it taste like cheesecake with like a butter crust or graham cracker crust? Very curious. If you've tried them, let me know. I'm also lactose intolerant. So all these things that have like milk fat and dairy in them, I can only have a couple bites and then I'll just give them away. Give them to friends, let my husband eat them, bake them into things that I sell for junk jewels. I do a lot of custom orders. So if you're in the US and you ever want to order something from Junk Jewels, there's my timer. Wait for that to go off. If you're in the US and ever want to order something from Junk Jewels, I do ship. I can make just about any baked good you're interested in. Happy to put in any sort of wild, exciting candies or chocolates as well in them. All right, let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay. So it's not quite done, but you can see it's starting to puff up and get like a little bit golden on the edges. So I'm just gonna give this a few more minutes. Let's say 4 minutes. I'll finish cleaning up and then we should probably be good to go. These Kit Kats, man, they really smell like cough syrup. So one other thing I mentioned before too about this like white chocolate cream we made is that you can add like marshmallow fluff or marshmallows. And yes, I recognize that typical marshmallows are not vegan, but there's this brand Dandies that makes the best marshmallows, like prepackaged marshmallows I've ever tried. Honestly, like the only thing better is like a good homemade marshmallow by like a skilled pastry chef. But these are completely vegan and they're soy-free as well, I believe. Yeah, they're soy-free. So they're soy-free, dairy-free, egg-free, animal product-free. They are light and pillowy and fluffy, and they expand and get like gooey when you heat them, but they don't get like gummy or hard if you like microwave them. Dandies, highly recommend. They make like all different flavors too. They did a seasonal peppermint in December. In like October, November, they did a pumpkin spice marshmallow. I think I've seen in the spring they do like a fruit flavored marshmallow blend, so definitely gonna look out for those over the next couple months. And I'll put them into cookies. I'll make like fluff out of them. You can put them in the broiler or the oven and let them start to like caramelize a little, and then mix them with vegan butter and make a buttercream out of them. Super good. One day on the stream I'll make my s'mores cake that has the best ever marshmallow buttercream. It's a beast. It takes like all day to make basically. I usually like make the cakes the day before and then do all the assembly and frostings the next day and decorations. But I'll do it for special orders. I've done it for like family members' birthdays. It's the best cake I've ever had in my life. So if you like s'mores, I will do that one day. It's super, super good. All right, we got about a minute left. It might need a couple more minutes. Sorry for the delay. I'm trying to think if I have any other interesting things I've been trying lately. Oh, there's this like new craze. I'm very into craft beer, and there's this new craze of hard seltzers. So not just like White Claw, but a lot of breweries are doing like really interesting hard seltzers where they're incorporating fruit puree, making it into like a smoothie-like texture, or they're putting in all these like different flavors and juices to make it really interesting. And here in Michigan, there's this company called Smooge, S-M-O-O-J, Smooge, and they make the absolute best hard seltzers with like tons of fruit puree and fruit juice in them. They taste like cocktails. Like they have a pina colada one that tastes like a pina colada. So I'm very into those, and those like basically are a dessert in and of themselves. So there'll be nights where if I feel like having a drink, that will be my dessert, is a pina colada hard seltzer. And they're super, super good. So if you are looking for something really interesting, I've seen a lot more markets starting to expand to that in other cities and countries. So highly recommend smoothie hard seltzers. All right, let's check these out. All right, so now we're at the stage where the cookies are starting to brown. So what I'm gonna do is put this like metal skewer in and test and see if the brownies are done. Brownies are like just about done. I'm gonna leave these in for literally 2 more minutes because this mostly came out clean. There's just like a little bit of fudgy brownie batter on the sides. So we're gonna leave those in for 2 minutes, take them out. I always take these brownies out just before they seem like they're fully cooked because the residual heat from the dark pan will continue baking it and keep it kind of insulated. I would always rather have my brownie be like slightly underdone than overcooked and dry. These brownies are so dense and fudgy though that like honestly it'd probably be hard to really burn them if you overbake them for like a couple minutes. But a big thing about this particular recipe is they do have to set for a while. So I am gonna have to, after I put this cream on, I'm gonna have to sit for a little bit before I cut them because otherwise they are gonna come out a mess. I'll show you. I'll take one out hot. It's just gonna like fall everywhere. But once that like butter cools, or in this case the vegan butter cools, everything will solidify and it will be just like a dense, perfect, chewy, moist bite. 1 more minute. I hate waiting. I'm so bad at waiting. I'm usually like playing on my phone, watching YouTube videos, drawing. Like I am terrible at waiting, stretching. Like I try to do something. But that's why I like Twitch, because I can talk to you guys. I can try to optimize your video. I can hear recommendations that you have. I can chat with you all. I've only been on Twitch for like a month now. This is my 3rd live stream. 3rd? Yeah, it's my 3rd live stream. I couldn't remember if it's 3rd or 4th. It's my 3rd live stream. And I've really liked it so far. I just like the autonomy, the ability to just like broadcast at any point, invite folks in, record it and edit it, put it on my YouTube channel or save it for later on Twitch. It's just a good way to connect with people on shared interests. So super glad to have you here. Thank you for joining me. I'll be announcing my next one. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram. I'm at JunkJules. My website is also junkjules.com. I'm Junk Jules on YouTube. Basically Junk Jules across platforms. So follow me, check out my website. Let me know what you're interested in making, and would love to join you again, you know, at least a couple times a month, if not every week. Like I mentioned, I do work full time and have a lot of hobbies as well as my business. So I can't necessarily commit to baking every single week, every month, but I do want to bake as much as possible. And I really, really like live streaming. So it's a fun way for me to just try stuff out on stream, bake new things, experiment. We could fail, try a bunch of fails together. We could try out new ingredients, new substitutions. Would love to experiment with you all on stream. All right, let me turn this oven off. And look at this beautiful brookie. So hopefully you could see well. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna cut into this and show you just how it needs to set because it's going to start to fall apart. But what you'll see is this like really dense fudgy brownie that's about 2/3 of the height, and then the cookie on top. And then we're gonna put this simulated Oreo cream on top, and then sprinkle a bunch of Brookie-O Oreos on top so folks know what's in this. So this started to kind of seize up a little, so I'm gonna throw it back in the microwave. I made it a little early. You can also melt chocolate on the stovetop in a double broiler. So like heating water up in a pot and then putting like a metal or glass bowl over it, so letting the steam gently heat the chocolate. That's totally cool too. Microwave's just easier. You just got to check it more often to make sure it doesn't totally seize up or burn. So I'm just basically gonna like spread this haphazardly. We like messy, we like abstract, we like artistic, handcrafted, all of those terms, right? I think there's a time and a place for perfection. When I'm making like a babka or some sort of pastry, I tend to be super cautious and I measure everything and I make sure every single edge looks exactly the same. But when I'm making something like fun and simple and comforting, like this recipe, that's a brookie recipe, I like it to feel a little homemade. Like there's no need for there to be pretense behind vegan brownies and chocolate chip cookies. Like I'm putting Oreos on top of this. It doesn't have to look perfect. All right, so again, I'm just use my hands. Probably end up using like 4 Oreos and just let the Oreo crumbs kind of fall wherever. Just try to, you know, eye it, evenly distribute it. And again, the great thing about this recipe is it's totally customizable. You can make the vegan brownies, the vegan cookies, you can pair them together or not. You can put other cookies in them like Oreos. You can add other chocolates, other candy bars. I love making these with like peanut butter cups. All right, what was that, 3? Do one more. Then we should be good, and I'll show you what it looks like cut into. And then once it's cooled, I'll make sure to post on my Instagram, @JunkJules. I'll do a little photo shoot, make these really pretty, dress them up. That's also something I love. I studied film in college and started like my love of photography in high school. And so I'm very into all of these aspects, the shooting, the photographing. I've lost some of my skills because it's been a solid 9 years since I've graduated from college and taken any sort of film or photography classes, but I love just like playing around with this kind of stuff. And it's great. Like I have a nice Nikon digital SLR, but I also just like using my iPhone. I have an 11 Pro. It's got a great camera. The depth of field is really beautiful on it. So I use that a lot, honestly, for photography. All right. There is the finished product. I'll grab my camera in a second when I cut into these so I can get a closer up view. I'm just gonna cut the corner out. I'm a corner person. I love the contrast of like the chewy, crispy edge, the gooey center. I know some people are very, very passionate about the center or the side pieces. Personally, like the corner, give me as much crust as possible. All right, and because this is gonna be gooey, I'm gonna grab my other offset spatula to pick it up just so we have something for it to lean on. Ah, yeah, it's falling apart. So like I said, these really need to set for like, I don't know if I said a time, I would say like 20 to 30 minutes minimum, because otherwise they're gonna do this and fall apart. But like, look at that. Look at that, it's beautiful. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm just gonna, you know, let this bite cool for a second and try it. Oh my God, it's so hot. I have kitchen hands though. I don't know if you've ever heard that term. Because I worked in a restaurant kitchen, I got so used to just like touching hot pans because you have to move so quickly when you're prepping or on a line. And I got burned so many times that I'm a little bit desensitized to heat. And so I'm holding this directly out of a pan. Like it's It's hot. I don't want to put this in my mouth and burn my tongue, but like my fingers can handle it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. This brownie is so good. It just like melts in your mouth. And you just taste like deep, rich chocolate. That bite had an Oreo on it too. Super good. So I get that little bit of like residual cookie dough flavor without even tasting the cookie dough layer yet. Just from the Oreo. Now let's see this cookie dough layer. Again, it's like falling apart. Ooh. I love that cookie dough because I always make it a little saltier. And so it's just so well balanced. Okay. Now I gotta try these together because I need to see if they play nice. Let's see. There we go. Okay. This has everything. Yo, you gotta try these. You gotta make them. Oh my God. These are so good. I am so excited to share them with my family and friends. Thank you again for joining me on Junk Jules for another live stream. I am very proud of these. These are amazing. Check out my Instagram at Junk Jules. I'll be posting a picture of when they're cooled and cut so you can see a nice, beautiful cross section of them. But highly recommend you get out there, make some extravagant junk, get inspired by things on the grocery store and convenience store shelves. Try incorporating junk into your own bakes. Next time you make chocolate chip cookies, throw a few Reese's Pieces in there. Throw some white chocolate peanut butter cups. Throw some Kit Kats. Just give something new a try. You're going to be amazed at the flavor combinations you're able to come up with when you just get a little creative. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. This will be up on my YouTube, an edited version if you want to follow along with the recipe in a shorter video. Those videos are usually like 10 to 15 minutes. And I've already had friends say they followed along with the Taki lime pie recipe and that it went really well. So let me know what you think. Go check out my YouTube page, Junk Jules. Leave some comments here. Let me know what you think. And hopefully I'll see you in about a week. I'll announce when I'm doing my next stream on my Instagram. So check out @JunkJules on Instagram to follow me along for updates. Thanks again and have the best day. Bye, y'all.